Welcome to the fascinating world of the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières, affectionately known as the Little Monaco. This is a short replay of the SCCA BF Goodrich Trans Am Cup, race 7 of the weekend of 2002.
Boris Said, who sits on the pole here in Trois-Rivières. And Boris, I think you're getting a little tired of Butch stealing all the limelight in qualifying. He'd had 3 in a row, but I think the key was how many laps you had to put on your tires to set that fast time.
Yeah, we only put 2 laps on our tires, so with the few laps we have, we're hoping that'll pay big dividends at the end of the race. And Applied Computer Solutions gave me a great car, and Joe Huppiger gave me a great engine, and hopefully I can complete the puzzle by not making too many mistakes out there today and bring this Panos home in front.
Well, Brian Till, Boris thinks he may have the edge in the tires. What does the other front row man have to say?
Well, the guy that's let his foot do all the talking is this man, Butch Leitzinger. 3 of the last 4 poles, win last time out. But, Butch, you guys are playing catch-up a little bit this year.
Yeah, we got off to a slow start, so from now on I just have to get the Tommy Bahama car in the winner's circle.
Well, Rick, that's where it's been before, and look for it to be there again. He's got the car, he's got the ability, he can do it.
Welcome to Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada. Coverage of the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tires Cup here on Speed. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Bill Adam alongside, ready to start the second half of the 2002 Trans Am campaign. And Bill, it's going to be a terrific championship fight, I think, all the way to the end.
I think it will, too. I mean, Paul Gentilozzi won that opening battle. Tremendous fight in Long Beach. But then Boris Said came on so strong and has really been very consistent. However, the hot driver right now, Butch Leitzinger. He is on a roll. We have to watch out for him.
Butch has won 2 of the last 3, including the race 2 weeks ago in Washington, on a street circuit that's not a lot different from what we see here in Trois-Rivières. And a big change this year, Bill, a much longer race for Trans Am.
And the fans up here will love it. I mean, they have always loved Trans Am cars, but now, because of this 100-mile length, they get to see pit stops for the first time ever. That could be crucial today.
But the circuit itself, pretty much what you've come to expect. 1.5 miles. Let's take a ride around.
Trois-Rivières, a pure street circuit with 10 turns packed into a little over 1.5 miles. We're on board the Tommy Bahama Corvette, and watch how narrow this track is. Through turn 1, you try and look up ahead to get set up for a left-hander. Now watch as Butch goes over the crown of the road. Right here, the car suddenly slides wide over the bumps and right up against the wall. The narrowest spot through the Duplessis Arch, critical to carry speed out because now we're on the back straight. It keeps bending to the left. You pick up speed, we're going to be over 140 miles an hour at the end of the straight. And watch for a braking area, extremely heavy braking. Down 1 gear, down another, and then bend it into the left. Tied out to the wall under hard acceleration. 1 more straight. Up ahead, you're going to have a gentle bend to the right. Again, well over 110 miles an hour. Bend it in here. Touch the brakes, drop a gear, drop another one, and use up all of the road. Look at this, you're going to slide right, wide over the curb up against that wall. Up ahead, heavy braking into a long left-hand corner. Feed power on gently, a quick little squirt of acceleration up here. You bend it back to the right through the slow right, a quick flick to the left, out to the wall, and that is a busy lap at Trois-Rivières. Now you can take a breath.
18 cars pulling away, ready to get down to business here at Trois-Rivières. We'll show you the starting lineup. We heard from Boris Said, the pole sitter, just a tick quicker than Butch Leitzinger, who's won 2 of the last 3 in his Tom Floyd Corvette. Second row, Stu Hainer out-qualifies defending series champ Paul Gentilozzi in his Jaguar. Hainer with 1 career Trans Am victory. Third row, Michael Lewis with 1 career win in his Jaguar, and Johnny Miller, part of the Rocket Sports team, in the Eaton 64. Row number 4, Tony Ave and that Panos Esperanti from the Trilithic team, and Randy Ruhlman's Preformed Line Products Corvette. That's car number 49. Row number 5, Tommy Dreesing from North Hollywood, California, the 3rd member of the Rocket Sports team in a Jaguar, and first-timer Paul Menard, John's son, in car number 99. Veteran Don Sack in the 6th row. From Ohio in the 23, the Sidwell Chevrolet of Bob Rubin. Paul Fix out of Buffalo, New York in the Jaguar, the 77th. ACS team owner Mike Davis, he's fielding 3 cars this weekend. He'll start in 14th spot. Simon Gregg, Peter's son from Jacksonville, Florida, and Jim Durhawk's 59. Charlie Webster from Canada in car number 95, a couple of Chevrolets. And the final row here this weekend, Richard LaBarbera back in his Mustang, and Claudio Burton from Georgia in the Panos, car number 2. Bill Adams starting the second half of the Trans Am season, and the championship battle, the 3 drivers at the top of the points table have all been to victory lane, and Butch Leitzinger certainly isn't out of this.
Yeah, Butch really has made the most dramatic improvement of all because he was effectively out of it after the first couple of races, but has come on so strong that now he's in a very solid 3rd place, challenging Paul for 2nd, and Boris is not out of reach.
Now we go 100 miles for the first time ever here today. The Trans Am returns to Trois-Rivières for the first time in 3 seasons. Calvin Fish, that extra race distance should mean some different pit strategy, I would think.
Absolutely, Rick. This street circuit is very heavy on gas mileage here, so we expect most of the teams to wait until about lap 20 before they pit so they can actually get up to those 11 gallons into the car and make a hole by burning off 20 laps of fuel. Also, the only man in the field who's gone with the right rear a little harder than everyone else is Tony Alve once again, and I think that may play out if we get green flag running, Brian Till.
Yeah, Calvin, you talk about tires. A lot of these guys, most of them, as you just said, are on softer compound tires. The drivers don't think it's a problem. BF Goodrich guys kind of raise their eyebrows a little bit. They wonder if they'll go the distance. The other thing that's going to be difficult here is brakes. I ran here in a Trans Am car. It is very hard on brakes. But the guys that may be the nicest to the brakes and the nicest to the tires, the top 3 guys, they're all ex-endurance racers. They know how to make a car go the distance. And it's an extra 20 miles around here than anybody's ever used to running.
Now, Bill Adam, this is the same racetrack we've been coming to for a long time. We have 2 onboard looks. We'll ride with Johnny Miller and his Jaguar, who lines up in 6th spot in the Eaton Jaguar. We'll also take a ride today with Butch Leitzinger, hottest driver on the tour. He starts on the outside pole in the 88.
Butch does have experience here. He has run a couple of cars, and they just have to go through this little right-hander, one final left, and then they're on the front straight getting ready to look for that green.
Not nearly as hot as what we saw Friday or yesterday. If you were with us for our coverage of the American Le Mans Series. 100 miles to go. Green is in the air. Boris Said takes him to turn 1.
Good start, too. Look at, you can see some of the cars going wide, tires not up to temperature. I think that was Stu Hayner right there ahead of his Johnny Miller. He did not get good grip, tried an inside line, and Paul Gentilozzi Paul Gentilozzi is way up ahead.
Down to turn 3, the arch.
So careful on this opening lap.
On board Miller, started 6th. Tried to get up and take a couple of spots, and he did grab 5th away. Said is your leader. Leitzinger is 2nd. Hayner in the white Chevrolet. The blue Jaguar is Gentilozzi, the 3-time champion. Here's Paul Menard on the move early in the 99.
Everybody being pretty cautious. That's the proper thing to do right now. One of the difficult things of the Trois-Rivières circuit is that there is only really one runoff area, and that's at the end of the straight. If you make a mistake any place else, you're going to be hard into one of these concrete walls. Day is over.
Simon Gregg in the 59, the blue Corvette with the orange nose. There's that Menard's 99. Paul Menard making his first start. Understand he'll finish the rest of the season in a Menard's back Ford.
Boris was very complimentary about him earlier, saying that for a young man with such little talent, that he really has driven very well and very smoothly throughout all the sessions so far.
John Menard, the veteran IRL team owner, his son here for the first time for 3rd spot. Stu Hayner in the white 02 car. Paul Gentilozzi in the blue Jaguar, car number 3. One car in trouble on pit road early, Calvin Fish.
He got into someone here, guys. Damage to the right rear rim, so he may have made contact with some traffic there. Cut down the BFG tire, new one going on. Crew doing a good job here, but this is the last thing you need. He really needs a caution now to get back into the action.
So Randy Ruhlman's Coyote Freeform Line Products Chevrolet down and away, but that puts Randy at the tail of the field here. We're green working lap 3.
Yeah, not necessarily putting Randy out of the picture either at this point, because historically the Trois-Rivières circuit has always had yellow flags because of the difficult nature of the track, and to make a pass you almost have to be extra aggressive here. Should a pace car come out, then of course Randy's going to close right up on the back of the field. Paul is making a great charge here on Stu Hayner. He really wants to get by him.
3rd spot on the front straightaway. Gentilozzi in the blue Jaguar, 3-time series champ. Won the season opener at Long Beach, as you saw. Likes the street courses. He's won twice here, including the last 2 trips. Trans Am paid to Trois-Rivières in 1998 and 99.
You see Paul's car, too, just kicking the tail out going through turn 1. I wonder.
Hayner in the 02 has 3rd on board. Johnny Miller back in 5th spot. Your leader's Boris Said. He's the points leader as well. We'll be back. Today's live coverage of the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières on Speed Suites, the preferred hotel of the Trans Am Series. Trouble for one of the key competitors. Let's get it downstairs to Brian Till.
Came in, we saw that contact with Stu Hayner down in turn 1, came in, left front BF Goodrich tire cut down, had to replace that, a little bit of body damage, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. The problem now is the car won't refire, the crew having to push it down pit lane.
Oh, the 3-time series champion, 2-time winner here. Paul Gentilozzi and his Jaguar. We'll show you what happened. Mark Strickland leading the boys as they push the 3 car. Here it is. as Gentilozzi and Stu Hainer battle for third. Look at this, Bill.
Paul goes in as deep as possible, and right there you see a little bit of contact between the cars. Now both of them out on that gray area with very little traction, and Stu went into the barrier. This downside for Paul, he cut that left front tire in the rubbing between the two cars.
We're seeing signs that a full course caution is out. Apparently Stu Hainer could not refire the 0-2 car.
And Gentilozzi was able to. There he is there.
So we will see that Paul will be able to catch the pack for the restart, but Stu Hainer, who qualified third, looks like his afternoon may be over, Calvin Fish.
Well, where's Shane Duhame? I know you're pretty upset about what happened down there in turn one. What did Stu say?
He hasn't said too much yet, that just Paul got into the side of him and pushed him into the wall.
Are you surprised that two veteran drivers get together like that in a long race where everyone said you need to be patient?
You know, nobody's going to win this race on lap 2 or 3. There was plenty of times to make a move. If Paul was quicker, he could have got around a different way.
I spoke to Paul before the race. He said, I'm going to be a patient man today. But as we know at Gentilozzi, he's a racer at heart, Rick.
He is.
Now, Paul talks about patience every time we see him, and he certainly knows his way around here with 2 career victories. But I think he just felt like he had a little more race car going down into turn 1 there.
Well, and perhaps one of the concerns is that both the pit guys talked about earlier is conserving brakes. I mean, the temperatures of the brakes, there he is back underway. So he was just tangled up. He'll rejoin this race. Now, the problem with the brakes is that even though they're hot all by themselves, if you're following another car even more closely, you get that nice cool air blocked into your air vents. Paul wanted to get that back.
So an early caution, 5 laps of 66 on the board. Your front row starters are running first and second. Paul Menard is 7th. We'll be back. Welcome back to Troy Riviere Live here on Speed. Coverage of the SCCA Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tires Championship. It wouldn't be a weekend on Speed without coverage of the Speed World Challenge from Washington, D.C. Up next, the touring cars at 4, the GT machines at 5 o'clock Eastern. Preparing for a restart, Brian Till, but I saw that Stu Hainer had come to pit road.
Well, I'm sitting here with the offending member of Paul Gentilozzi's car. It's that left front tire. You can see the cut on it. It's a big hole, and it's a lot of abrasions and a huge gap down here. That's what deflated the tire. I was standing there with Calvin, too, when we talked to Paul. He said, I'm going to be patient. My question to you, Bill Adam, is who is this man, and what has he done with Paul Gentilozzi? It doesn't sound familiar to me.
Paul's a racer. I mean, boy, we saw in the last race, and I think I made a comment, that he drives like he has the heart of a 16-year-old. He just loves the competition.
Boris said, Butch Leitzinger, Johnny Miller, your top 3. Tony Ave will restart fourth. Green and going as they come to the final corner. Now, Paul Gentilozzi has been black flagged. We're told that he violated the pit road speed when he came down onto pit road to get that tire replaced. He's getting a drive-through penalty before he can rejoin the back of the pack. To watch Gentilozzi over the next 60 laps try to come up through the field ought to be a show, but he certainly will have his work cut out for him.
This is a great shot here just showing how narrow this track is and how difficult it is too. Keep in mind, this road is the normal road of the city and is driven on all year long. So the crown of the road is much more severe than it would be on a racetrack to allow for drainage of rain. As you go over the crown, instead of it being like banking helping you, it tries to throw you out to the wall.
And there you see a good example of that. Tony Ave, Tommy Dreese, Michael Lewis, and Paul Menard running 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. You can see their cars pitched to the outside as they come across that corner. Here's Ave.
I wonder today if maybe Michael Lewis's style might come into play here because he, all season long, has been so smooth in his Jaguar.
We were watching Michael during practice and qualifying yesterday. He had a brake lockup problem going down into turn 1, but it's very easy on the brakes. Take a look here. Something happened just a moment ago. Gentilozzi got tagged by Don Sack. Oh, no, is that Hainer?
I think that's Stu Hainer.
Stu Hainer gets into Gentilozzi.
Oh, boy. Get the gloves, fellas.
Oh, boy.
I would assume that there will be no invitations to Thanksgiving dinner this year.
You know what they say about paybacks sometimes. Looks like there's some body damage to the number 3.
Yeah, I think Stu had a little brake problem right there.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
was there a target painted on the right rear corner of the 3 car?
I'm glad we don't have onboard radios in those cars. we couldn't tell the viewing audience what they're saying.
Here comes Hainer. He's all by himself now in the 0-2 car, being shown back in 17th spot. Hainer qualified 3rd, right alongside Gentilozzi. And Paul trying to get by Hainer there in the first couple of laps on the inside down into 1. And we saw yesterday in our coverage of the American Le Mans Series that doesn't pay off here very often at Trois Rivières.
No, it doesn't. But at least Paul is ahead of Stu right now. Yeah, I can just see the back of the blue Jaguar disappearing up the road. So there shouldn't be contact. There he is right there.
There's the other Revolution Motorsports car of Don Sachs, Simon Gray. Your 2 leaders have caught the back markers already. As Boris said, in the Panos, the purple 33.
Another one of the difficulties of a mile-and-a-half track is that you do get into lap traffic so quickly.
Butch Leitzinger, who's won 2 of the last 3 rounds of the Trans Am Championship, including the race 2 weeks ago in D.C., up to 2nd. 3rd belongs to Johnny Miller. Ave is 4th. 5th belongs to Gentilosi's other Rocket Sports teammate, Tommy Greasy, in the 5 car.
The atmosphere up here at Trois-Rivières for racing is just positively electric. The people love racing of any type. Wow, Johnny Miller right to the wall that time in the Jaguar.
Talked to several of the drivers before we got going here this morning. Every one of them concerned about making their brakes last. And Bill, you alluded to that, how important it is to try to run in clean air. Butch Leitzinger's tucked right up on the back end of Boris's Panos there. I don't think he could be getting enough air to the front of that 88.
No, it definitely does make a difference. Like Boris right now is running in totally clean air, so there is nothing blocking the airflow into his vents, those 2 little vents in the nose of his car. Whereas frequently Butch, as he closes up here, is getting disturbed air, and it just doesn't pack the same volume of cool air in. He's also picking up some of the hot air from Boris's car, so that tends to exaggerate it, and that's maybe what Paul Gentilozzi was trying to do, and he was so close behind Stu Hainer, wanted to get by him, wanted to keep his car running into cooler air for his brakes.
And into the back straightaway, 2 leaders opening up the advantage over Miller in 3rd. About a 2.5 seconds that Leitzinger has over Miller in the green and black Eaton car. Interesting as well, as we took a look at some of the Trans Am machines getting their final prep work this morning. All these teams have added as much ducting as they could possibly squeeze under the nose pieces of these cars to pipe cool air to the front brakes. And you can run liquid-cooled brakes as well, so that'll be a factor. But you're only allowed a couple of gallons of water to keep them cool. Pit stop strategy could well be key here at Trois-Rivières. We'll be back. Welcome back. Coverage of the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières, the SCCA Trans Am Series here on Speed with Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin. Brian Till, Calvin Fish on pit road. Paul Gentilozzi, who's been involved in a couple of tangles with Stu Hainer, serving his drive-through penalty here for bleeding black flag. So Paul loses even more ground to the leaders. 13 laps go on the board, Bill Adam.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that'll probably put him behind Stu Hainer again, so we have the possibility of more antics.
You see the body damage there in the right rear corner. I think that was from the 2nd tangle with Hainer's 02 car, when we think perhaps Stu might have been trying to send a little message back to Paul as they got down into turn 1. Gentilozzi still on the lead lap, though, so if there are more incidents, a full course caution would allow the 3 car to catch back up and give Paul an opportunity to climb back into contention. 2 leaders through the arch, headed to the backstretch. It's Said in the purple car, Leitzinger in the yellow Corvette.
Butch Leitzinger continuing to shadow. A lot of this strategy here is going to be almost a game of playing waiting games. Some of the drivers definitely will play the game of depending on a yellow flag coming out or even a pace car to bunch the field up. They will be maybe driving at a more conservative pace right now, just on that assumption.
Leaders lapping by the Mustang of Rich LaBarbera there, the black and yellow 08 car. LaBarbera shown back pretty deep in the field right now, back in 16th position. Now, how does a championship race driver like Boris said prepare for a difficult Trans Am round like what we have in store here today at Trois-Rivières? Well, for Boris and some of his crew members, last night was a night to go go-karting.
Look at that right foot go down.
That is not Boris's regular helmet. He's waiting for one of his crew guys, evidently, to join him for a little challenge.
Maybe waiting for Paul Gentilozzi to practice that bump technique. Come on, Boris, who are you waiting for there?
It's Boris there in the 14.
That's the only time in his life that he's ever waited for anybody. He's so competitive.
A little later on, we're told that Boris was black flagged for rough driving at the go-kart track and asked to leave.
So he did perfect the technique. He's competitive.
Yes, he is. Very competitive here today. Boris set out in front with 3 wins this year. He's the points leader. Butch Leitzinger, though, has won 2 races, 2 of the last 3, and he has climbed into championship contention.
You know, a lot of credit, too, I think, has to go to the ACS crew for perfecting the Panos, because it wasn't all that long ago. This car really was not that good of a Trans Am racer. They've turned the whole program around. It's a very good car, very strong motor, and it looks like it handles well, pretty well every place. And it's well driven.
Well, just a quick update on Boris Said. He said this morning this race doesn't even start until lap 40. He said, I need to conserve the brakes. He said, this race is a lot longer. I've run here before and run out of brakes. I have to conserve brakes. I'm just going to cruise through the first 40. That seems like Butch Leitzing was really taking his lead there. These guys pulling away from the rest of the field. Well, I just spoke to Boris's crew, and they said he's just cruising right now, but cruising out front, guys.
Calvin, I just had a chance to talk to Tom Gloy, the team owner for Butch Leitzinger. He said the same thing. He said his endurance experience is going to pay big dividends here. They're just cruising. The ambient temperature is a lot cooler than what they've been running. Only 94 degrees track temperature. They're not as worried about brakes and tires as they might have been. And with a lot of endurance experience, they're willing and content to ride where they are right now and race the last few laps.
And you know what, guys? I think they're both taking a little bit of the school of the Paul Gentilozzi style of talking about things, because Boris Said just ran a lap of 104.8, 4/10 off his pole position qualifying lap. So that's not exactly cruising.
The two leaders, as we say, pulling away 3 seconds ahead now of the rest of the field as they put another lap on the board. 50 to go. Here's your third place car, Johnny Miller, the Eaton Cutler Hammer 64. Tony Ave of the Trilithic 53 is fourth. The black number 5, Tommy Dreesy, the Pyroware machine. And then sixth place belongs to the Amerisweets Jag, the 12 of Michael Lewis. Next in line, and a good run for young Paul Menard in 7th spot in that number 99. Now that's the third of the ACS, the Mike Lewis team cars. John Menard is here to watch his son make his first career Trans Am start, and Paul has been very, very impressive in that Menard's livery 99.
Another indication of this pace, too. Johnny Miller, currently running in third place, is running a lap of a 105.4. Well, Johnny qualified at a 105.6.
Yeah.
He is under his qualifying time, so they are all pushing really hard. And I think it's understandable, because number one, that you do want to conserve your car. You don't want to burn the brakes out, but it's very difficult to do when you see your competition stretching every lap. Sometimes you have to get.
Interesting race course here. We've been coming here for a number of years. This is the 33rd time that the organizers have staged the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. And Trans Am, as we know, has been the headline show here for many years. First time back over 3 seasons, and everyone in Trans Am very excited about returning to Trois-Rivières. Watching Paul Menard run a nice race, Calvin Fish in 7th spot. His dad has to be pretty proud.
He is John Menard, a long-time IRL entrant. And John, you got to be proud of the performance of the boy out there. First Trans Am event we've seen him at this year, and up in the running, 7th.
Yeah, he's running real well. It's a brand new car. Of course, he's brand new to the series, so we're pretty happy. If he minds his P's and Q's out there, doesn't get in any trouble, should have a pretty good race.
A lot of the drivers said you had to be patient in this long race. What sort of driver is Paul? Does he have that sort of discipline?
Well, generally, he's very patient. So, if he just paces himself like he's doing, I think he'll come out fine.
All right, mate, good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Paul Menard in that Mustang. Very, very smooth around the racetrack. He and his dad raced on ice up in Wisconsin, their native land, many, many years. And I would think ice racing would certainly teach you a lot of discipline behind the wheel. Paul Fix takes a position away. Leaders lapping traffic. We'll be back. One of the most beautiful parts of Eastern Canada you could possibly visit. Kind of a unknown jewel, I think. Trois-Rivières, just tremendous history here, and friendly folks who are very, very happy to welcome the racing community to this town in the middle of the summer every year for the past 33 years. A reminder, tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern, hope you can join Bob Barsha for NASCAR's Speed News. 7 o'clock tonight, full coverage from the Brickyard 400, the NASCAR edition of Speed News. And then Speed News Sunday immediately following at 7:30 Eastern. Wrap up the rest of the day's motorsports and the weekend's motorsports news. Of course, full coverage here from Trois-Rivières and more from the Brickyard. Bob will handle all of that for us tonight. As always, up the backstretch. Boris Said starting to stretch the lead a little now over Butch Leitzinger.
It does come off the corner awfully well, but so many times this year we've seen that Corvette in Mid-Ohio and so many of the tracks just stretch the legs.
Paul Menard in the 99 car. We were talking about what a good run he had in his first Trans Am start. Good run going in the early moments, but apparently he's gotten into the wall in that Mike Lewis Mustang. Knocked him off the pace just a little bit. He was 7th. He's given up a couple of spots now. Take another look at it here.
Oh, boy.
Lost it coming under the arch.
Did a really nice job controlling that, too, and thank goodness that was a rubber barrier there.
One more look.
Isn't that amazing?
Into the soft wall like that, Bill, is that enough of a hit to damage the rear end, to move it offline, for
No,
example?
it probably shouldn't, because he hit an area of the tires that are all banded together, and they're all going to compress very nicely. So I don't even think well, it may have damaged the bodywork a tiny little bit. It almost looks like that crack between the door and the rear body has opened up a bit, but not that bad. And even the wing looks fine. I can't see any damage to the end plate, even on the wing, right?
Here, of course, aerodynamics not quite as big a factor as at many circuits Trans Am goes to. Lap average speed here about 85 miles an hour for a Trans Am car. So.
Yeah, it's a good point that there are certain circuits where aerodynamics, like Road America, for example, they play a major part because of the extreme high speeds. But here, it's almost as important for mechanical grip as Mike Lewis. Oh, almost had it coming together. Tommy
Drisey there. They're battling for position. That's for 4th and 5th.
Pair of Jaguars.
Drisey has the spot, lapping by Don Sack in the 10. Leader comes to pit road. Boris said is there. Calvin Fish.
Well, we just had Tony Alve pit a little bit earlier again. Remember, he's running the fuel-injected motor. Boris has hit his pit window. He needed to essentially create a big enough hole in the fuel tank to get this dump can in, and it should be fuel only. They're not going to tires as we suspected, and Boris really set the trend here on these Trans Am events with pit stops. Pit as soon as you can and maintain track position. Good stop for these guys. We'll wait for Leitzinger shortly.
So Boris said first car on pit road. Johnny Miller's on pit road. Brian Till.
Well, Miller's in and so is Lewis. Same thing. No tires, just a can of fuel for both of those guys. They've made it into their pit window. Fuel down and away.
So Johnny Miller, who was sitting 5th, comes onto pit road.
And one of the real times of concern is right after you make your pit stop. The brakes are running such high temperatures here that when you make a pit stop, what takes place is called heat sink. The tremendous temperatures build up because the pads are in contact with the rotor, and you get the transference of heat all the way through the whole brake system into brake fluid. If you boil the fluid at that point, you never get it back. It's one of these things that you've got brake troubles for the rest of the race.
Miller back up to speed after taking on fuel, which should take him the rest of the way. 23 of 66 laps going on the board this time by. There'll be 43 remaining. Miller with the 1 career win. 29 top 5s, though, the most impressive stat by far from the driver from the Tri-Cities of Northeast Tennessee. Down under the Canada Bridge. Back toward the front straightaway.
Here's this long left-hand corner. You can see we're going over a concrete patch right there. Now we're back on board Butch Leitzinger.
Watching Butch at work. He took over the lead when Boris said pitted.
And very interesting, Leitzinger in the lead just ran a 1:04.8. That is really moving around here.
Qualified at 1:04.7, just a tick under 1:04.7. So about a tenth, a little more than a tenth off his qualifying pace.
Yeah.
Bill, that's pretty impressive.
I think trying to take advantage of the fact that he had clear track in front.
Yeah.
Now, is he coming in the pits? Yes, he
off
is.
the gas. Looks like the 88 car is indeed headed to pit road. Looks like Brian Till is maneuvering into position to take a look as he goes by. Comes the Tommy Bahama machine. Fuel going in. Calvin Fish.
Well, Butch is in, hits his marks perfectly, just a couple of laps after Boris said, struggling to get the last few drops out, and Butch is underway, momentarily stalls it. Remember, that cost him track position last time he did this, but I think he's going to beat Boris said out. It's going to be very close. Butch goes up to speed, but Boris has got good exit speed onto the front straightaway.
Oh, I don't think you get him, Calvin. I think this is a great stop. Even with that almost flub on the clutch, he did a great job on getting his foot back on it, saved the motor, didn't stall it perfectly, and he does have the lead.
So in the exchange of pit stops, Butch Leitzinger takes over the top spot in the Tommy Bahama Corvette. Shuffling the points leader, Boris said, the 3-time winner this year, back to second. And now we'll see. The battle will be on, Bill Adam. About 40 laps to go, just more than 40 laps. And there's some clean racetrack in front of the 2 leaders.
And this is one of those times when Robert Best, the crew chief for Butch, he and all the guys kind of go around giving high fives to each other, go, we beat them in the pits. That's their little race. So they won their race of the day. Now it's up to their driver to win his race of the day.
So Leitzinger is out in front of the 88 car. He's got about 10 car lengths over Boris said. There is lap traffic in front, and there's a huge crowd on hand to watch the action at Trois-Rivières. We'll be back. Back live at Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada with Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin, live on Speed, coverage of the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tires Cup. And our Trans Am coverage continues at Road America on Sunday, the 18th of August in 2 weeks, 12 o'clock Eastern Time. Paul Menard there, right behind Butch Leitzinger, has yet to pit. He's being shown in second spot, but once the pit stop cycle is complete, that will no longer hold up. Leitzinger is your leader in the 88. Boris said was beaten on pit road by Leitzinger and the Gloyd crew. So Boris, who stopped first in the 33, being shown third right now. There you see the Panos coming into view at the top of the front straightaway. And your leader again is Leitzinger. And Bill Abney seems to be pulling away.
He is pulling away right now. Boris is running about a second and a half a lap slower. So that could partly be because of traffic, or maybe Butch is just continuing to push pretty hard. And Boris is right now doing the waiting thing that he talked about.
Up the back straightaway, Calvin Fish, Tom Gloy, and the boys have to be plenty pleased with the way the pit stop is played out.
Well, I tell you, that pit stop put a big smile on your face, especially when he beat him out of the pits.
Well, you know, that's really the key to Trans Am right now is we did an extra lap or two, and Butch went really hard while he was out there, so he had a little bit lighter fuel load. Then you got to get him out ahead of Boris, and Boris is a tough competitor, but Butch is too. It's good. The guys did a great stop. Good to get out in front.
Is the race on now, or do they still wait before they really put the hammer down? They're running some great lap times. The track seems to have picked up grip in these cooler conditions.
Well, you know, now I'm a team owner. I wish they'd slow down a little. He seems to be pulling away from Boris. I'm not sure why exactly, but we probably need to slow down. The race isn't on yet.
Okay, well, Boris said us lap 40 when the race starts for real, guys.
And we're a ways away from lap 40. In fact, we're 11 laps short of that. There's Leitzinger in the lead, trying to lap by Paul Fix in that green Jaguar.
Yeah.
Butch has to be patient here, I think. He'll dive to the inside under the arch. Oh,
I think that's good because you can see in the background, Boris was hauling him in. Paul Fix really was holding him up badly. And I think he lost a lot of time on that lap. It was one of those things that sometimes you take a chance and you pass an area you don't want to pass in, hoping to surprise the other guy. And I think that's the case. Very few people pass down by the arch.
Richard LaBarbera offline there in the 08 car, and he may have stalled the car. He's going to try to reel it in and get it pointed down the straightaway.
Yeah, I wonder maybe his brakes are just getting a little hot, Rick. And rather than try and turn the corner at increased speed, he decided to go straight just for a moment, make sure he could stop the car safely, and then rejoin the race.
10 of Don Sack right behind him in 11th spot. LaBarbera back in 17th, and Sack will lap by him again. If you're with us at the top of the broadcast, Sack's teammate Stu Hainer, who qualified third in the 02, well, Paul Gentilozzi got together going down into turn one. Both cars suffering some damage. Paul on the inside kind of pushed Stu offline, and they both tagged the wall and lost a lot of ground. Paul was making his way back up through the field. A couple of laps later, Gentilozzi was penalized, and following that, Hainer took a shot back at Paul and tagged him and turned them both around. So a lot of skirmishing here on the streets of Trois-Rivières. There's your leader, Leitzinger. Take a look now and show you the gap here between Leitzinger, and there's the 99, and behind Paul Fix, this is Paul Menard. He got into the wall, still shown second. He has not yet made his pit stop. Here's Boris said, the pole sitter, an early leader, and the gap continues to grow.
I think only a matter of time, though, until Paul Fix does come in, or, well, actually, until Menard comes in. There's the graphic right now showing this is amazing. Now, this shows the total time. That is from entering to leaving. And you can see that the 88 Corvette was actually 2 seconds longer.
And I think what Tom Gloy had to say when Calvin talked to him a moment ago, really the key there, that once the 33 headed to pit road, Butch stood on it even harder, used open racetrack to gain ground and lighten the fuel load. Menard has brought the 99 car to pit road to Calvin Fish.
Well, they're in for fuel. I see a wheel over, a front wheel, actually. The crew member has got that ready. They can be working on this at the same time. The regulations allow that, so the air jacks go up, and I believe they're going to the right front and right side tires. Now, the rules only allow one wheel gun, so they're taking the right offside, so it'll be right side tires. But Paul Menard, he's been running pretty hard and going to need new side tires on the right.
What a tough place to make your debut, Bill Adam. We talked to a lot of these drivers and teams thinking if you needed tires, it would be on the right side. But this pit stop taking a lot of time.
I think there's brakes problems in right there now. And plus, if he doesn't have brake problems right now, he certainly will because of the heat sink problem. It looks like they are trying to bleed the brakes right now, Calvin.
Yes, they are, and there's actually a small fire down here right now as they crack the bleed nipple there. Got some fluid on the brakes. The brakes are hot. You get the fluid out there, and it's a really dangerous proposition for these mechanics. Huge temperatures. We're seeing over 1,000-degree temperature on the rotors, but the real key for the driver is the caliper temperature. When that gets up high, it boils the fluid, and the pedal goes away on him.
There you see a little of that flame ensuing.
Wow.
We saw some brake temperatures yesterday in the American Le Mans Series event of upwards of 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And we have heard from many of these teams they expected a similar set of brake temperatures here this afternoon. For a young driver, you would not want to debuting at Trois-Rivières is quite an achievement, I think, anyway. And to try to do this with weak brakes or no brakes would be really tough.
Well, by and large, all of the Trans Am cars have more or less the same brakes. They're all extremely capable, very high-tech brakes. But I think with this being a young driver, he may not be as experienced in conserving. And sometimes conserving can be nothing more than just braking a little bit earlier, a little bit more gently, or sometimes stabbing them quickly and hard, but for shorter periods of time.
So they're going for 4 tires, bleeding the brakes all the way around. This will take Paul Menard out of contention here today at Trois-Rivières, but a very impressive first 30 laps of his Trans Am career. Butch Leitzinger shows the way. Boris Said back to second. Johnny Miller, Mike Lewis, Tony Ave, the rest of the top 5. We'll be right back on Speed. We're halfway at Trois-Rivières. Let's recap the first half of action in the SCCA Trans Am today. Boris Said grabbed the lead from pole going down into turn 1. But veterans Stu Hayner and Paul Gentilozzi, well, they say rubbin's racing, guys. Here it is just a couple of laps later. Gentilozzi leans on Hayner. They go off into the marbles. Hayner into the tire barrier. Gentilozzi with damage. He cut down a tire. They had to push to restart him. Hayner returns the favor a few laps later. Pit stops early in the going. Boris Said was first to pit road as is usual, which Leitzinger followed a little later on. Boris was quicker on pit road, but Leitzinger made up ground on the racetrack, and he's your leader. And Paul Menard with more problems in that Mike Lewis Mustang. Looks like the brakes, Bill Adam, were not properly bled when they made their pit stop. We've got a full course caution. Menard went off one of the escape roads.
No, I think what the problem might be is just the heat sink problem that we talked about, allowing the heat, because he sat in the pits for such a long time as the crew tried to bleed the brakes, and that had to allow everything to get almost red hot. I watched when he pulled out of the pits, there was a lot of smoke coming from the front end, almost as if one of the bleed screws hadn't been tightened up. So I don't think he had any brakes at all.
Paul just heading to one of the parking lots here, Brian Till. Looks like maybe he's headed out for a hamburger.
Yeah, I just talked to Ralph Rhodes. Bill Adam, have you been around a racetrack before? You seem to be a pretty smart guy. He said it's just we're having brake problems. The temperatures are so high. It's not that they left a bleeder open or anything like that. The temperatures are so high. You saw it sitting here in the pits, the brake fluid coming out and actually catching on fire. The temperature is so great, the brakes just gave up.
Tough break for the rookie, making his debut at a very tough racetrack. Well, Calvin Fish, Boris Said trying to track down Butch Leitzinger hasn't made much headway in the last 4 or 5 laps.
He really has, and we're hoping to speak to Chris Willis, but he's in radio communication with Boris right now. Boris has said that his rear brakes are going away, which means he's locking up the front a little bit. You got to be careful. If you keep dialing it into the rear, it actually makes the situation worse, Bill Adam, because you're just going to overheat them further and actually make the situation a lot worse. So brakes were a concern, and that pace that we saw at the front of the race may have been a contributing factor here.
Yeah, exactly right.
Field behind the safety car, indicating 1 lap till the restart. With 32 laps remaining, it's Leitzinger in control. Back live at Trois-Rivières on Speed, preparing for a restart. I don't think we'll see one. The green came out, but Tony Ave has stuffed Kerry Alexander's Panos into a tire barrier, Bill Adam. This may well bring out another full yellow, and he gets the car refired. Perhaps not.
Yeah, again, the value of these tire barriers, it's so important that they do damage the car. But if that had been concrete, that would have written the car right off. And you can see Tony's actually able to drive back.
And we will stay green, we're told. There's heavy damage to the 53 car. Ave was up in the top 3 for a time, restarting in 5th spot. And he gets back out of the racetrack.
You can see him just wiggling the steering there just to make sure he hadn't broken any of the steering links. So he knows that he does have steering, and he's going to keep going. Good boy, Tony.
A little bit of damage, a lot of damage actually cosmetically to the nose of the car. It can't handle very well, and he runs it off the racetrack again.
Yeah, I think he's lost brakes. Again, heat sink, I would bet. Because you saw a strip of rubber coming off the front, but he has parked that thing out of the way.
And this has to bring a yellow out, I would think, because he is down at the exit of turn 1. This is where we saw Hayner and Gentilozzi get into it just a short time ago. And you can see the black marks there. That's where an ALMS car went off yesterday hard into the tire. So I don't think they can leave Ave's car there very long.
Well,
we stay green, though.
Yeah, he may be far enough over, because he's to the left of that mark. He may be protected by part of the guardrail at that point, leading down to the corner.
I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. 28 to go. Leitzinger is your leader. As we show you our race summary, 4 different leaders, 4 lead changes. Johnny Miller's moved to second now. A couple of full course cautions for 5 laps. Abe gets the car turned around. Average speed about 74 miles an hour. 18 cars still running, but that could change. And I think we may have nailed the problem here for Abe. I think he's got something broken in the front end, Bill. I think his steering is not right.
He did wiggle the car back and forth a few times. Oh, he's pulling off.
He wants to join Paul Bernard in the parking lot, I think.
That's
a good move.
Very heads-up thinking on Tony's part. He did not want to bring the pace car out. He got the car into a safe area where he doesn't have to worry about his own car getting written off in an incident and doesn't disturb the race. Good Tony.
Tough break indeed, though, for Abe, because he was, as we say, he was solidly on the top 5, had been up to 3rd at one point. Now, take a look at what's happening among the leaders. Boris Said dropping back through the field. We had a report from pit road. He was losing his rear brakes. Guys, Boris is back to 6th. Paul Gentilozzi, who was penalized, who was involved in 2 tangles with Stu Hainer, the 2-time winner here. Gentilozzi is up to 5th now in that 3 car, behind his teammate Tommy Dreese.
Yeah, and suddenly the Jaguars are looking awfully strong because look at this.
Paul.
Jaguar running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place.
Miller is 2nd. Mike Lewis in the white and blue car 3rd. Dreese in the black 5 4th. And the team leader is 5th, Gentilozzi. Now, Boris Said, the pole sitter who led the first couple of dozen laps here, he's backpedaled to 6th, and Gentilozzi went by him like he was tied to one of the light poles here at Trois-Rivières.
This is really unheard of. Boris has had just a phenomenal stretch of good racing early this year. He has not missed a podium finish on any of the Trans Am races so far this year, but in this current standing, well, he will miss it.
The braking situation on Boris Said is actually a lot more severe than we initially thought. It's not just losing the brakes. They believe they may have a leak back there. Actually, during that caution period, the team thought carefully about bringing him in and tying them up, but we went back to green pretty quickly, so they've kept him out there. But that's got to be a real handful. The pedal will go down. You won't be getting full pedal pressure, and it's going to be on the fronts when you do get some, Bill. That's really hard on a street circuit.
Oh, boy, Ed, it's really hard on a driver's confidence, too, because if you don't know how far that pedal is going to go, you're certainly not going to be charging.
Meantime, here comes Randy Ruhlman going by Boris Said. That's for position. That puts Ruhlman up into 6th in the PLP Coyote Chevrolet, the 49. And Stu Hainer has gotten by as well. Now, Hainer was involved in those 2 tangles with Paul Gentilozzi. Hainer being shown 2 laps down to the leaders, so that would not be for position. And Gentilozzi in the 3 car, who moved into 5th spot. We're told that he is going to be black flagged and sent to pit road for another penalty. Paul had moved by his teammate Tommy Dreese. On the racetrack, he's running in 4th spot. That evidently won't hold up. It looks as though the defending series champ is going to be sent to the penalty box for a 2nd time. The black flag shown to Gentilozzi that time by.
Unbelievable. Just everything seems to be happening, and Paul is responding to the challenges very, very well. I mean, the Johnson control car is still running well. It's not showing any signs of wear from any of the incidents so far. It still looks good. It sounds good.
He's got a little bit of body damage on the right rear corner at the bottom, where there is a little bit of aerodynamic help where the back bumper would be, the bottom of the bumper cover on these Jaguars.
I think that's the Hainer aerodynamic.
Yes, it is.
Help, isn't it?
Yes, it is. A little body alteration performed by the veteran driver from California.
A Nakaduct and a
Hainer. Trouble for Mike Lewis. He went by smoking there in the 12 car at the bottom of your screen. So that would give Gentilozzi 3rd, but Paul's going to have to pit and take a stop and go. He doesn't come in this time, though. I don't know how many laps you'll get from the SCCA, from the Trans Am Tour officials. Here's your leader, Leitzinger. 25 to go, this time by for Butch. Miller 2nd, Lewis still 3rd, but smoke showing out of the 12.
I saw that again on Mike Lewis's car coming down the straight, and Mike, too, just to reiterate this, he is one of the smoothest drivers out here. He's easy on brakes, easy on everything. In that Mara Sweet car, you just saw him come by.
Brian Till.
Well, I'm down here in Paul Gentilozzi's pit. They say they're going to give him a black flag. The crew, Troy Calgill and the guys arguing, saying, look, he went past Boris. There may have been a yellow out, but Boris is hurt. Everybody's driving by him. I don't know if that's going to stick. I also checked on Tony Abe, see if this sounds familiar. Brake problems, brake failure. I checked on Johnny Miller. The guy said, we're running a pace. We got to run 106s. Brian, Bobby Houghton was my crew chief. He said, Brian, you run here. You know what brakes are like. We've got to run 106s or we won't make it to the end.
I think Johnny Miller is doing the right thing, too. He continues to run these 106s. He has been amazingly consistent since the start of the race. I think he's resisted all temptation to try and run hard. That looks like a brake seal failure on the Amerisweet Jag. Look at this. It's coming out from the middle of the wheel.
And that would cause rear end fluid, that would cause brake fluid, everything to come pouring out of the corner center of the wheel.
See how it's coming right out of the middle of the wheel? That could be an axle seal that is just eventually going to eat that axle up. And that, again, could be caused by the intense heat.
I'm talking to Johnny Miller this morning before the start, and he said, you know, guys, if the brakes overheat to an extreme extent, and now we're going to lose Lewis here in a cloud of smoke, and there's the fire. Wheel fire right rear corner. Lewis is in serious trouble.
He's got tons of fluid pouring out. I think every time he goes through a left-hand corner, it just gets worse. And, of course, at the end of the straight is another left corner.
He's got a serious fire burning on the back end of that car. This is mostly a left-hand turn racetrack, as we pointed out earlier. This is like an oval. You run counterclockwise. Lewis is hard down the escape road. They need to get the fire bottles on. He needs to get out of there, guys.
Come on there, fellas. Get that extinguisher going.
One fire bottle is all that's there. That helps knock it down. Here comes the second one. And we trust that Lewis is bailing.
These flaggers are so good. They get into action very quickly.
There he is. Mike out of the car. Window net down. Not easy with all the gear that you wear these days. Helmet, Hans device, and so forth. To bail out of these closed-top cars.
You know, when you have to get out, that stuff isn't a problem, Rick. If you see a fire behind you, you could have chains around you. You'll find a way to get out.
That's what concerned me, because you could see when Lewis was coming down the backstretch, in the glass of the car, you could see fire starting to burn out through the chassis of the car. We're told that Boris Said is on pit road in the 33 car as well. More problems, Calvin Fish.
They are. They're trying to put fluid in the master cylinders first, and now they're finally getting fluid coming through the system. So he ran out of fluid, some kind of leak. I'm not sure if it was a master cylinder issue or back on one of the rear calipers, but they're filling up with the master cylinder. Boris is pumping it up. We're finally getting some fluid through the system. So he's obviously in a position where he can't run the race car anymore on the racetrack. He had to bring it in. This is the last thing that the championship leader needed here to score no points or maybe low points today.
And Boris gives us the high sign. Mike Lewis overheated, but pleased to be out of the car. And I'm sure when he thinks about it, even more pleased that the fire crews, the rescue workers at the corner, able to get there and douse the flames. He could have lost the race car.
Come on, Mike. Give her a kiss and thank her.
Full course caution once again with 23 laps to go here at Trois-Rivières. Boris says, well, we'll try to get back on the racetrack and gain some ground. Leitzinger is still your leader. Back live at Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada with Bill Adam, I'm Rick Benjamin. Coverage of the SCCA Trans Am Championship here on Speed. Under caution for the second time today, full course caution because of the fire and the stop by Mike Lewis in the Amerisweets Jaguar. Reminder, tonight following Speed News Sunday, NASCAR Victory Lane. John Roberts and the boys, a full wrap-up of the day's events at the Brickyard 400, 8 o'clock Eastern only here on Speed Channel. And boy, are we glad to see that they were able to push the Jaguar, but Bill Adam, they had to take the front body work off. The Amerisweets crew will certainly have their hands full getting ready for the next Trans Am round coming up in a couple of weeks at Road America. Take another look at it as we saw the smoke really billow out the back end of the 12.
Yeah, just massive smoke coming out here. And then the fire starts on the back. That finally gets a chance to catch up in the interior. And you could see as the car came up the straight, it just slowly built up more and more. Look right through the windshield as he comes up towards us. And that really could have been a very serious situation.
Mike Lewis realized, I'm sure by this point, he had a problem, headed straight down the runoff area. Got the car stopped now. If that was a brake problem, it's good that he was able to stop it, but you can see the fire really taking off.
Yeah, I suspect that was more like a rear axle seal. Yeah. It probably, again, was caused by the heat, but the fast work by those marshals saved his car.
Get an update from pit road, Brian Till.
Well, one more time, Bill Adam was right. I hate this. He's never wrong. It's exactly what it was. It was a rear seal. It started to leak out. We talked about high brake temperatures, and that's exactly what happened. That fluid leaking out onto those calipers caught on fire. And, of course, as he drives along at 100 miles an hour, that fuel, that oxygen just blowing to that fire makes it even bigger, almost like a blacksmith working on a horseshoe. But another guy that had problems, as Boris said, and Calvin Fish is down there.
And Boris lost about 3 laps in here. They had to bleed all 4 calipers, and what really initiated that was a loose bleed nipple on one of the rears. So that got the motion going, and then they actually went to the front as well, try and give him a good pedal. I believe they've got the pedal back, but Boris lost a lot of ground there, but he's just going to try and keep out there, score a handful of points, and he's in a position still to do that.
Well, there's more than 20 laps still remaining here at Trois-Rivières. Boris will restart 13th. And how about this? Paul Gentilozzi has gotten back up to 3rd. We'll be back. 18 laps to go at Trois-Rivières. The green has just reappeared. Butch Leitzinger, the restart leader. Johnny Miller starts up in second. Tommy Dreese. Here's Paul Gentilozzi back to pit road to serve that second penalty. Apparently, the arguments of the crew to say, hey, he should have been able to pass by instead. Didn't work.
And almost stalled, too.
Paul had to serve the penalty while the track was green. He tried it once under yellow. They wouldn't allow that, so he came back on the racetrack, took the green, and had to come around and stop. So Gentilozzi, who was third in the order for the restart, has to come from the back yet again with less than 20 to go. He's being shown in 6th position because he is on the lead lap. Several cars are lapped. Only 6 remain on the lead lap. But in terms of track position, Paul would be at the very end of the pack now.
Yes.
On board, Johnny Miller in 2nd spot.
Yeah, and I think Johnny Miller still is the guy that I look at as capable of winning this race. I'm curious as to how hard Butch Leitzinger had to lean on those brakes on the Corvette for those opening laps as he had his battle with Boris. It can up to be maybe something that he's going to worry about. Johnny Miller did set the initial pace of running 106s. Yeah. He resisted all the temptations, and his car looks awfully strong right now. In fact, right there, he just ran a 105.9.
Quick update on Tom Gloy. He just said the brakes are pretty good for Butch right now. He's reporting no problems whatsoever. His biggest concern was making sure Gentilozzi served that stop-and-go penalty. And you speak about Johnny Miller. He was one of the 3 guys on the Rocket Sports team who saw extremely high brake temperatures during practice and qualifying. He's a left-foot braker, and that really puts extra demands on the brakes here at Trois-Rivières.
Miller up through the gearbox, trying to track down that yellow Chevrolet up in front. Veteran Butch Leitzinger from Pennsylvania, his first Trans Am season. He has run here before, though, in prototype sports cars. Butch has won 2 of the first 6 races this season. By far the leader in the Rookie of the Year battle at Trans Am, and certainly a contender for the championship. And you know, one of the best changes that the Pano Sanchez group has made in this series in the last couple of years, Bill, has been to add to the purse pie.
Yes.
Taking a look at some of the records this season, Butch has cashed 2 $51,000 paychecks for his 2 wins. This race day here at Trois-Rivières, he could score a $48,000 win. 22 to pay is the payoff for winning the race. Contingency money could push that close to another $50K for Butch and the Tommy Bahama team today.
Sounds like your per diem, Rick.
Did I get on your deal now?
Yeah, I think you might have.
Johnny Miller starting to reel in Leitzinger, it looks like, at the back of the back straightaway.
Well, Butch Leitzinger just ran a 105.7. Johnny Miller, a 105.5. He is getting faster now.
And don't count out Tommy Dreese, 1 career Trans Am win. Talked to Dreese last night for a while, and he was saying, you know, I've really got to calm down here. It's his first visit here. He was a rookie in the series last time, or after, actually, the last time the series came here in 1999. So Tommy's seeing this place for the first time, and he said, you know, I've got to talk to myself and not get over-aggressive here.
Yeah, he's great fun, isn't he? I like him in a car.
Randy Ruhlman with a great day going in the 49 car. You got to give a round of applause to the Tom Gloy team. 1st and 4th right now as we get inside 15 laps to go.
Something, too, about Johnny Miller that we should bring to your attention. We talked about the values of driving smoothly here. Johnny Miller is really one of the most consistent drivers out there. He's got a string of 18 consecutive top 10 finishes that goes back to the 2000 season finale at San Diego. So you don't get that much more consistent.
There you see Stu Hayner in the 02 car up to 10th, although 2 laps behind the leaders after those 2 tangles with Paul Gentilozzi. Paul took Stu out in the very early going. Stu came back and returned the favor. Ruhlman from 8th to 4th. Greensboro, North Carolina, veteran in the series. In fact, he is 6th all-time in career Trans Am starts with 121 after taking the green flag here today. Ruhlman in the PLP Coyote machine, right on the back deck lid of Dreese. So this is a battle for 3rd spot. But if Randy Ruhlman could get to the podium here at Trois-Rivières, that'd be a great achievement.
Wouldn't it? Yeah, he has run so well over the Trans Am. And over the years, he's just such a good competitor.
Yeah.
And he's always been very patient. I mean, Randy always has the justified reputation of being a very smart driver. He tries hard, and you rarely see him making mistakes.
By far the best outing of the season for both Dreese and Ruhlman, and we'll see if they can close the deal with 13 to go here at Trois-Rivières. Your leader is Leitzinger. He's got a 1.2 second margin over Johnny Miller. Butch just rowing calmly through the gears. Back Back live here on Speed. Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada, the street circuit for the 33rd time. The Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. With Bill Adam, I'm Rick Benjamin, Brian Till, Calvin Fish on pit road for us. Your leader in the yellow Tommy Bahama car is Butch Leitzinger. The Eaton Cutler Hammer 64. Johnny Miller, second spot. Trying to give chase, but he's a couple of seconds behind Butch. And we're not far away from 10 laps remaining. Take a look at the running order up top in our speed strip. Working lap 55.
See, Butch pulled out a 1:05.5 on that time, so he stretched his lead by about half a second over Johnny that lap.
And that battle for third a little further back. Dreese hangs on to the spot. Randy Ruhlman's right there with him, though. That's probably the best fight on the racetrack.
Something that could have been happening to Johnny also is that the closer he got to Butch, the more hot air his brake intakes have been picking up. So he may have started to suffer some brake problems and has decided to drop back deliberately to try and consolidate that second place.
And that would fit perfectly with what we heard from Johnny earlier. Now, Stu Hainer there in the white 02 car, the Trenton Forging Chevrolet, he's inserted himself into that battle for third. Stu is not on the lead lap, though. He's got a good night going, good day going. He's up in 9th spot, but he is a couple of laps down after those early tangles with Gentilozzi. What about Paul Gentilozzi? 6th on the lead lap, 37 seconds behind. Third place car, the 5 of Tommy Dreese. Fourth place car, the 49 of Randy Ruhlman. And we'll take a look at the 5th place car here. Haven't talked yet about Bob Ruhlman out of Ohio in the Sedwell Chevrolet, the 23. Good run for Bob Ruhlman, certainly here at Trois-Rivières, a place he really enjoys. 3 career top 5s on his way to perhaps making it 4. By far his best outing of the season.
This is an exciting day for him, too. He really showing the value of just getting out there and driving consistently, not over-driving your car, trying to conserve the brakes a little bit. Good for Bob. This is a wonderful run.
If you're just joining us, you got a glimpse of Boris Said, the championship leader in the 33 car, the ACS Panos, the purple machine. He's behind Ruhlman, but this is not for position. Boris shown in 11th spot, 3 laps behind the leaders. He spent a lot of time on pit road with brake problems. Pitted early, their strategy was working. He led from the pole the first couple of dozen laps. Stopped on time for fuel. Everything looked good for the 33 team, but as we've seen with several cars here this afternoon, even though we don't have extreme heat, brake woes. Lost brake pressure. Had to bring the car on pit road, bleed the brakes, add fluid again. Boris back on the racetrack, but not a contender for victory today. This the battle for third spot. Remember that Hainer, between the black car of Dreese and the blue and white car of Ruhlman, is not involved in this battle. Only 5 career top 5s for Dreese. On his way, perhaps, to a podium here today with 10 laps remaining.
So far, what I see Tommy Dreese doing is driving really well, and he's not really getting too rattled by seeing the pair of Corvettes on the tail. And that is difficult to do. You want to try and devote your attention to looking up ahead to picking out apexes. On a track like this, if you miss your apex by a foot or so, it pays much larger dividends than missing an apex on a track like Mosport, for example. Because you're getting over the crown of that road earlier, and you're going to slide a lot wider than you normally would. So Tommy has to really keep his attention focused up ahead.
And I think he has to remember that Hainer is not fighting with him for position and not get too worried about trying to hold Hainer off here.
Yeah.
So Tommy Dreese in the 5 continues to run third. Hainer in the 02 car is 9th, not on the same lap. Randy Ruhlman is next. Check back in and take a brief ride with leader Butch Leitzinger. Our final commercial break. We'll be right back. Part of the pageantry of the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. Several of the Trans Am stars meeting their fans here this weekend, signing autographs and just generally enjoying the ambience. And something you and I have been enjoying for, a dozen years, I guess, since we first came here for Trans Am coverage quite a while ago now. Great event to come to. And it's one of those kind of unknown jewels, I think, in North American racing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the Monaco of North America in a lot of ways. We don't have the yachts and the water close by, but the European flavor. Oh, yes, for sure. The European flavor and the enthusiasm is perhaps the best in all of North America. The French-Canadian fans love their motorsports.
I'm on board with Johnny Miller in the 64, one of the Rocket Sports Jags, the Eaton Cutler Hammer Automation Direct car. Miller trying desperately to reel in the leader, Butch Leitzinger, but boy, they're not even in the same zip code anymore. Butch is way, way, way up ahead, about 3.5 seconds the gap, coming up on 6 laps to go this time around.
Well, I asked Bobby Houghton, do you have a car to catch
Butch Leitzinger, I asked him that with 15 to go. He just smiled and said, so far we do. I asked him with 10 to go. He said, we're right on plan. I asked him a minute ago. He didn't say anything. I think somebody's not cooperating with that plan. I think it's Butch Leitzinger.
Yeah, I think if they had a car to catch Butch Leitzinger, they didn't bring it this weekend.
He drives so well.
Yes, he does. We have seen Butch Leitzinger win in all forms of road race competition. Stu Hayner's just gotten by the 5-car of Dreesy. Ruhlman belts Dreesy coming up the backstretch. This is for third. Randy Ruhlman going for it.
Let's see who's got brakes left, because Tommy is not, well, I think Randy's got it.
Randy Ruhlman will sneak by Tommy Dreesy for third spot as the laps wind down.
Oh, man.
Rubbin's racing, and it happens in the Trans Am Series, and Randy Ruhlman with a very bold move as they hit the backstretch.
Tommy Dreesy, I think, just about painted the side of his car with that concrete color right there, but he missed somehow.
Now, Bill, is that a case where Ruhlman, being the veteran that he is, 121 career starts, he just knew a little more about how to make that move? Because I think that Hayner forced Dreesy to give up the spot there.
Well, by Hayner passing going down through the arch, it didn't allow Dreesy to get a real good run onto the straight.
Yeah.
Ruhlman, through his experience, knew that he was going to be off the throttle a little longer, and he tried to set up the exit perfectly.
Randy Ruhlman with a great drive today. Third spot to the 49. Dreesy tucks back in fourth. Remember that Ruhlman started 8th today. He's gained 5 positions at a very tough racetrack. He's been here many times before. Certainly, he's turned in a great run today. His teammate leads in the 88 car from Pennsylvania. It's Butch Leitzinger. 5 laps to go for the Tommy Bahama team. On their way, perhaps, to their third win of the season. And Bill, during the break, you were saying that if this result holds up and Butch does win, this could turn the championship points chase on its head. Boris had a 25-point lead over Gentilozzi coming in. Paul's still running 6th. Boris is 11th.
Yeah.
Butch will gain a lot of ground.
It's really going to tighten everything right back up, and it's going to be like starting a whole new Trans Am season all over again, because Boris, in 11th place, will not pick up very many points. Butch needed this to kind of vault himself back into immediate contention.
Johnny Miller on pace to have a great run, though, here today. I think a couple of lower gears into turn 1.
I think Johnny has actually backed off a little bit. I just saw up the top of the screen there that he's now running a 106.9, so he's almost a second a lap slower. And Butch, too. Butch is backing it down now, too. Butch is starting to drive by the mirror, wants to keep the car just enough ahead so he doesn't have to worry, but he certainly does not want to stress his car at this point.
So it's Leitzinger with a big lead now, 6 seconds over Johnny Miller. Third to Ruhlman. Dreesy is 4th. Bob Ruhlman is 5th. Oh, Johnny Miller stops against the Armco. You can see smoke rising from the front of the car. Looks as though a heating problem of some sort for Johnny Miller, who was 2nd in the 64.
Well, I'll assume that the smoke is just from the brakes with the car having come to a sudden stop, but that's got to be some sort of either a driveline failure. Oh, look at him. He can't believe it.
He's not even hammering at the steering wheel, which I would certainly be doing. There's the sigh, you see.
Johnny.
Oh, what a break for Johnny Miller from Tennessee. Running in 2nd spot with 3 to go. Butch Leitzinger now totally unchallenged, and here it is. This is coming under the arch onto the backstretch. Looks like maybe the motor gave up.
No, just that little belch of flame was just basically him just killing the engine, but I think he's probably lost an axle or a drive shaft.
So Johnny Miller is stuck on the inside of the backstretch. Brian Till.
Over here, I looked at Bobby Houghton, and I said, Bobby, what went wrong? And he looked at me, and he just said, go away. Shook his head so close. You can't even imagine the disappointment. You get a look at Bobby, and he is just very disappointed. I know this guy, quality guy. They've worked hard to put Miller up there, and when it all goes bad, they all feel it.
Bobby Houghton has been part of Rocket Sports Racing for as long as I've been around Trans Am. Bill, you and I haven't. You know how disappointed he is. He and Johnny, a great tandem. They get along well. They work well together at the racetrack. And they have high hopes here today, running a strong 2nd with a couple to go, and it's all over.
Yeah, the camaraderie of the team is so strong that when something like that happens, they all feel bad. It's not just the driver sensing the loss of a 2nd placer. They're all in pain right now.
Now, Randy Ruhlman, that's his wife you see there. He is up in 2nd spot. I'll have to check the record book, but if I'm not mistaken, that could be his best career finish.
Like and follow for more.